Long Beach is definitely the fastest. It's a great place to be.
Quite tight, quite slippery.
It's a great place with a great history.
Long Beach is fast, pretty wide.
Maybe just going to be a flat-out blast to the checkered flag.
For over 3 decades, the streets of Long Beach have hosted the best in world motorsport, and now another chapter is added to the book as that trend continues. The American Le Mans Series is here for the first time at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Not only is it a landmark event for the world of motorsport, it is a marquee event for the state of California. Yes, the beautiful come out to play here at Long Beach. Sunshine, seaside, and these famed streets. It doesn't get much better, does it? Hello everyone, Lee Diffie here at Long Beach for round 3 of the American Le Mans Series in 2007. And this truly is a special day for the ALMS. Street courses are nothing new for this series, but being here at Long Beach certainly is something special. Another noteworthy point, Audi for the 2nd consecutive race meeting have been locked out of the front row. Here's the reason why. They just tried to squeeze everything out of the R10s, but they couldn't match the competition. It was hard going for this car that is built for high, long circuits. Dindo Capello really pushing the limit of adhesion there. Well, the man that they were chasing was Andretti Green Racing's Dario Franchitti. Plenty of champ car experience here on the streets of Long Beach, but in this P2 prototype, Dario was stunning. With just 30 seconds left on the clock, he had one more lap and went all the way to the top. With more on P1, here's Calvin Fish.
Well, Lee, we'll get to P1 in a moment, but once again on the front row, the story is the P2 category. Dario Franchitti, always quick here at Long Beach, had a couple of runner-up finishes in Champ Car, scored Acura's first pole, and Dario, I know the team is very excited about that, but how do you now turn that into your second win of the season with this very tough turn 1 up against you as you lead the field to green today?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You know, we've got obviously Ryan's quick beside us in the Porsche, we've got the Audi just behind, so it's going to be interesting, but it being a sprint race, you know, an hour and 40 minutes, we're going to have to get it done.
All right, mate, best of luck. Well, even though this season is relatively young, rivalries have already been established. Just a couple of weeks ago at St. Petersburg, it was Dario's younger brother Marino in the 26 machine. He had a great start to the race, but then there was a recovering Ryan Briscoe who came through, nudged him into the tyre barriers. Ultimately, Briscoe and Masson went out to score their victory that day and left a very frustrated Marino Franchitti in the tyres. Well, the irony is today we've got the 26 and the 6 car on the front row together. Ryan, I know team boss Roger Penske was very frustrated about that start at St. Pete. I basically got you behind the 8 ball there. Any different strategy today?
I think we've thrown strategy out the door for the stars, because we sat in the truck at St. Petersburg and talked about it for about an hour. And as soon as it went green, everything changed. So, you know, we're just going to try to keep it safe today and get through the first turn with all 4 corners nice and clean and see how it goes. But it's just great to be on the front row again. Qualifying yesterday was one of the most exciting qualifying sessions I've ever done. So it's definitely a great fight out there.
All right, mate, go get him.
Thanks.
Well, Lee, once again, LMP2 is making the headlines.
And Cal, in addition to the P2 class, the GT2 category has been providing some amazing competition in 2007, really pushing the limit. However, some teams found that limit at St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago. Here's what I'm talking about. First up, for Risi Competizione, Jose Maria Lopez. This is in the first session Friday morning, and one trashed $500,000 race car. For Peterson White Lightning, this was the class leader, Thomas Enger, right towards the end of the race. Heavy contact into the turn 3 wall. Thomas was semi-conscious, and the ALMS medical team went to the rescue, and that was also another demolished Ferrari 430. Have a look at these stats. 11 days work, 8 full-time mechanics, over 2,000 hours, and somewhere over $300,000 to get a new car ready for this most recent round. And Dale White of Peterson White Lightning Racing tells us what transpired once they got the car.
Basically, the car was totaled. There was a few parts on the right side that we were able to reuse, but the next morning met with Ferrari representatives who were there and phoned Italy and started preparations on the tub, and it was never really a thought to skip the next race. And meanwhile, Dennis and the guys in the shop were taking apart the old car to be ready for the new chassis to arrive, which didn't come until Sunday. And the guys did a tremendous job. Dennis Chisman and the whole crew worked, round the clock to get it to this point, and it's here already decaled and ready to go to scrutineering. It's just amazing. A lot of people maybe criticize my decision to do this, but I'll tell you, when the car even fired up last night, there was a few tears in the shop. And when they see the car pulling out on the track tomorrow, you'll see some tears in our pit.
Quite an extraordinary story, really. And the good news is that Thomas Enger is on the mend. He was transferred from the Bayside Medical Centre in St. Pete to the Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis, where renowned orthopaedic surgeon Dr. Tim Weber operated on him Friday week ago. And the injury sustained a severely shattered elbow, contused lung, cracked ribs, and severe bruising. But the good news about Thomas, he is on the mend very quickly. He's already into rehab, and he says he'll be back in time for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, with more on GT2, here's Brian.
Well, Lee, you said it, GT2 is always a battle. It's been Ferrari versus Porsche lately. Now, Mika Salo starts from the pole for the first time in 2007. Mika, you qualified on the pole at Sebring, but had to start at the back. When you look at this race, though, is it even more important to be up front on this tight street circuit?
It is, yeah. This is important because it's a short race also, so you don't have time to catch up everybody, and also the passing points here are not so easy like in Sebring.
It is going to be tough, without a doubt. Salo looking for his 4th win in a row, dating back to the last round of 2006. But Patrick Long trying to take the battle to him in Porsche. In qualifying, you qualified second, Patrick. Great to see you back in the series. But a lot of the talk this weekend has been about you in a Porsche, but not a GT2 Porsche later in the season. What can you tell us about these rumors about being in a Spider?
Only that I hope they're true. It's all about today right now at Long Beach and getting this RSR up front, but hopefully later on in the season I might be in a Spider. We're working hard behind the scenes. Uwe and the rest of the Porsche Motorsport gang has really been behind me, and I'm just extremely pleased with all the opportunities they've given me.
Well, it is exciting news indeed, but you heard him say first, we got a GT2 battle to take care of, and 35 miles an hour on the streets of Long Beach, that is way gone this weekend, guys. It's going to be a great one.
And in GT1, the Corvette intra-team battle continues. Yes, the 4 won its 2nd successive pole position, but they're sharing it round because in the 3, Magnussen took pole at Sebring, Olivier Beretta took pole at St. Pete, and now it's Ollie Gavin's turn here on the streets of Long Beach. But who will take that victory? Well, we'll find out. It's going to be a short one here at Long Beach, but it's going to be fast. It's going to be brutal in the shortest ever race in the history of the American Le Mans Series here on these famed streets in Long Beach, California. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura, advance. The Acura pre-race show and countdown to green continues for round 3 of the American Le Mans Series here on the streets of Long Beach. Hello everyone, Lee Diffie and Dorsey Schrader back with you. Welcome back. And Dorsey, let's get straight to the low storylines for the race today. There's 3 in total. It can be umbrellaed by saying be smart, be safe, but let's talk more specifically, and it's survive and advance.
Well, this is the first of back-to-back races. You see, when the teams load up tonight, they'll have to drive all the way across the United States, 1,560 miles, about 2 days drive time to get to Houston, Texas. They can unload there on Wednesday. They're on the racetrack Friday. That means that they have only 1 day to repair any damage that might happen today. So if you have a problem today, you'll probably not only miss this race, but the one next week as well. So to advance, first you must survive.
In the 9-year history of the American Le Mans Series, this is the shortest race at 1 hour and 40 minutes. Any one driver can do no more than 1 hour and 10. How does that impact strategy?
Well, it makes it pretty interesting. I mean, all of the cars in the race will only have to stop once this time. That being said, the pit window opens between 32 minutes and 55. When you come in, Do you just put on the fuel load, which will be short, it'll be a quick pit stop, or do you take tires? If you take tires, do you take outsides only? It takes about 5 seconds. Or do you go with a full set? It takes about 10 seconds.
As we saw on the streets of St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago, these street courses do not give you a second chance.
Now, if you make a mistake here, that concrete wall's out there, but not only that, at Long Beach, you've got a very long pit lane, and it's a very slow pit lane. So if you pit under green, you're probably going to lose a lap. From a driver's standpoint, if I make a mistake out there and I have to bring the car in for repair, I'm not going to win the race. On the other hand, if I'm in on the pit stop and one of my crew guys makes a mistake, I get a drive-through penalty, I'm not going to win the race. The guy that will win the race today will probably be the car and the driver that do not make mistakes.
All right, let's look at the finer points of the famed streets of Long Beach with the accurate track description.
The street circuit in Long Beach is 1.968 miles long, 11 corners, and one of the most unique aspects of the track is Shoreline Drive. The front straightaway is not straight. In fact, it has a 170-mile-per-hour right-hand bend. It brings you down the short chute to the best passing opportunity you'll have all day, the brake zone for turn 1. Past that complex, you go through around the fountain area, and there really isn't a good spot to pass anywhere in there until you get to this corner, turn 8. Turn 8 is a very important corner because through that, you lead onto the longest back straightaway that you have, and this one is in fact straight. So you accelerate down this area, and you get into the area of turn 9, 10, 11. This huge complex of corners is very important. The brake zone here, the overtaking. Then there's this 180-degree carousel leading to the tightest corner that these cars will have to make all season long, the hairpin at Long Beach. The trick here, get through the corner and accelerate, get the power down, run down this front straightaway through the next right-hand bend, because just around the corner is the checkered flag, and you could be a winner at Long Beach.
Ready? Gentlemen, start your engines!
Josh Duhamel from the series Las Vegas getting us started here at Long Beach. Exciting times for the American Le Mans Series. There's been a variety of categories race on this wonderful circuit, most notably Formula One and Champ Car. But today, it's the American Le Mans Series turn, and we are pretty pumped up about it. So too are the teams in this series. Round 3 starts when we return. We'll go green and go racing here in California. Back at Long Beach, the Grand Prix of Long Beach, and a first for the American Le Mans Series. Don't these cars look great on this storied circuit? Well, it's time now to meet our respective pole-winning teams with the Klein Tools starting grid.
Dario Franchitti, Edinburgh, Scotland.
Hi, I'm Brian Herta from Valencia, California.
Alan McNish from Dumfries in Scotland.
I'm Dino Capello from Santo Stefano Belbo, Piemonte, Italy.
Hi, I'm Oliver Gavin from Yardley Hastings, England.
I'm Olivier Beretta from Monaco, Monte Carlo.
Hi, I'm Mika Salo from Helsinki, Finland, currently living in Monaco.
I'm Jaime Melo from Brazil.
There they are, the 4 respective teams that performed the best in their class. And that's what the American Le Mans Series is all about, multi-class racing. If this is a first for you, we have 4 different classes on the track at the one time. Dorsey, so much was made about the Prototype 2 class at St. Pete 2 weeks ago. Can they go all the way here today to claim the overall victory?
Well, they certainly have the speed. They've shown speed all weekend long. The Acura, of course, on the pole, but the Porsches are right there as well. I mean, it's been stunning qualifying. We were all just watching that with our, our raised hair, if you will. It was fantastic. So, can they do the reliability? That's the whole question here.
5 onboard cameras that feature in today's show. Car 1, top left of your screen, Dindo Capello, Alan McNish. Center of the screen, Car 7, 1 of 2. Porsche RS Spiders for Penske Racing, and that's Timo Bernhard on board. He, of course, shares with Romain Dumas. Car 9, the Acura of Stefan Johansson, David Brabham. Another Acura Prototype 2 car, the 15 for Fernandez Lowe's Racing, and that is Adrian Fernandez. Luis Diaz will start, and problem for the 12, Cal.
Well, we talk about these walls being unforgiving. Mike Lewis, who's a veteran here in Trans Am competition on the streets of Long Beach, has had an issue on the pace lap. You see here damage to the left side of the car. I don't think it got into the suspension, but not the start they were looking for.
Oh, that's a nightmare. That is tough.
That's unbelievable to have a crash behind the pace car. I mean, that's just not right.
Now Marty Kaufman, race director, and the ALMS officials have notified us that they're going to try and get as many people on the front straight as possible before they throw the green. It doesn't look like it's happening, though. It's a spread out field. They're gone. Dario Franchitti, the pole man, will he hold the power heading down into turn 1? Here comes Briscoe. Dindo Capello looks for an option as well. And Timo Bernhard forces his way through. So, it's Andretti Green Racing, Dario Franchitti, then Ryan Briscoe, Timo Bernhard, and you ride with Dindo Capello.
It was so important for these guys to make turn 1 and not have the big pileup. We were all worried about that.
Franchitti's got a nice margin early on. Clean through the opening few turns, which is good. That's promising. Briscoe locks up.
Going to have to watch that lead. He's locked up twice now on the first opening lap. You flat spot these tires, you'll have a long way to go. And like we said, you cannot make a pit stop under green here.
Great to see Dario Franchitti leap out to the lead like this. I was talking to Barry Green. One of the things he said is not only are our two drivers very experienced at this racetrack, but the team has a lot of experience. And Dorsey, as you can allude to, if they know where the bumps are, the frequency of all those bumps, it helps them with setup issues, and it certainly helps them when the track is green and the tires are cold. And that's what we're seeing right now.
It's a good point, Brian. You know, the ALMS is sharing the racetrack this weekend. They didn't have a lot of lap time. They had 40 minutes of practice and a mere 20 minutes in qualifying. So having two drivers and a team that's been here before is a huge advantage.
And Brian Herter sat on the pole here in Champ Car back in 1998. Franchitti and Herter, it's a strong combination. None of the four Penske drivers have been here. Capello still chases this man, Timo Bernhard. We ride with him in third.
And again, brake lock up from Briscoe.
The 1.5 second advantage to Dario Franchitti after the first flying lap. Johansson is 5th, Pirro 6th, Diaz is 7th, then Wallace, Smith, and Gavin. That's the top 10. Here we go. There's Capello. Through comes Stefan Johansson. There's Manuel Pirro behind the Highcroft Racing Acura. Stefan, of course, has raced here before. His teammate David Brabham has not. There's Manuel Pirro. Then Luis Diaz. And then the first of the Dyson Porsches in Andy Wallace. They stretch their legs up here into turn 9. And then this very tricky complex up into the double apex turn 10. And then the extremely tight turn 11 hairpin.
Tightest corner that they'll ever make. Some of these cars can barely make the radius of the corner. And then trying to launch off that corner with over 650 horsepower without the wheel spin. Of course, the traction control helps you a great deal right there.
Dorsey told you right at the top of the show, folks, in one of the low storylines, survive and advance. We've got back-to-back American Le Mans Series weekends here on the streets of Long Beach and next weekend on the streets of Houston. So you've got to be smart, and I have to say, the boys have played it smart so far.
Took a look there at Andy Wallace in one of the Dyson entries. They, at the end of qualifying, all of a sudden started smiling. They found something on this chassis that's new to them, the Porsche RS, and they think they can be competitive today.
This will be a one-stop race. And the talk around the paddock was that because of the time limit on one of the two drivers, one driver can only do a maximum of 1 hour and 10 minutes. That means 30 minutes is your first opportunity to pit. So long as a yellow comes along, we should see a frantic pit lane at that point. But we're just getting our teeth into this third round of the American Le Mans Series. Jamie Mello, incidentally, leads the GT2 class ahead of Darren Law and Johannes van Overbeek.
Of course, that's a Ferrari. There we take a look at it. Beautiful red Ferrari. The Ferrari over Porsche battle in GT2, immense, unbelievably competitive.
You got to believe that number 62 with Jamie Mello behind the wheel will come to pit lane as soon as they pass that 30-minute mark if they get that early yellow. I talked to Dave Sims. He said the biggest problem is Jamie fell off of his bike last week while bicycling to stay fit. He's got some bruised ribs on the left side, and his left arm is very sore, as well as his left shoulder. That left side takes a pounding around this Long Beach circuit because of so many right-hand corners. He's very uncomfortable in the car. As soon as they get an opportunity and the time allows, he will get out.
Some of the sports car traditionalists were questioning the time of this race, the 1 hour 40, the shortness of it, Dorsey. As we join this battle here, it's good one too. Wolf Hensler chases the Peterson White Lightning Ferrari with Tim Bergmeister on board.
The shortness of the race complicates your strategy. There's no question about it because, for instance, looking at these two cars, the Ferrari can double stint its tires. We know that. There's no question. But the Porsche has trouble doing the same at Pete.
Quick update. We're hearing reports that Ryan Briscoe will bring the 6 in. He has a deflating tire.
And I bet it's the one that's been locking up for the last 3 laps because it's got a flat spot and more than likely a small hole by now.
And here is Briscoe.
Now remember what I said, a green flag pit stop could cost him a lap. Let's watch.
At St. Pete 2 weeks ago, these guys ran into early trouble. They picked up debris in the car. It caused overheating. They had several pit stops for that, and he was also penalised. But in the end, when it all shook out, this 6 car, the DHL Penske Porsche, won its class.
4, 3, 2, 1, in. Tires only. Get ready.
Ryan Briscoe brings it to a stop. It's a right rear flat, and that would be why he was locking up the left front diagonally cross-weighted across the car. So Ryan Briscoe in recovery mode. They did it at St. Pete. It's going to be very tough here. A trip down pit lane costs you 45 seconds without service. Penske boys get him away quickly. Will it be fast enough?
This will give us a first indication, Dorsey, of how costly that is coming in under green.
Well, Lee, one of the nuances of a street circuit are the concrete walls, and when debris comes off race cars, there's nowhere for it to go. It stays in the racing line. And as a result of that, you get a lot of punctures on these street circuits, and it looks like he's lost, whoa, almost had trouble there. Lost about a half a lap, and all they did was take tires.
Locks up again, coming into the fountain turn. And our first estimates, it looks like he's lost about half a lap. Here's our race leader, Dario Franchitti, in the XM Satellite Acura for Andretti Green Racing. Actually, it's a little bit more than half a lap, isn't it? Because Franchitti isn't too far behind. Speed coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura, advance. And by Klein Tools, American-made quality for 150 years. Pros know the difference. 5.2 seconds the lead margin. Dario Franchitti over Timo Bernard for Penske Racing. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, here's our second place man, the German, who had all of last year to settle into Team Penske and these beautiful Porsche RS Spiders. As we said right at the top of the show, the strong combinations may be the guys who have had experience here before, Dawson. That certainly is Dario Franchitti and Brian Herter.
No doubt about it. When you saw Dario Franchitti up ahead there, he was already lapping through the GT2 cars, so it didn't take long for the field to get closed up. 6 laps, as a matter of fact, and they're lapping one another already.
This will be the last time we see Dario in the XM Satellite Acura for some time, because his younger brother Marino Franchitti will do the majority of the season alongside Brian Herter. Not quite sure on what the trio will be at Petit Le Mans, but stay tuned for that as the series progresses. One of Dario's team owners, Michael Andretti, enjoyed a great deal of success here at Long Beach throughout the kart/champ car days. 3 times a pole winner, twice a race winner, Michael Andretti. Can his new sports car team go all the way today? Well, what a wonderful start for Dario. Smooth at the moment. He has 4.7 seconds over Timo Bernard. So Timo's eaten in a little bit to his lead, and we will continue to monitor that.
I suspect he's eaten to his lead because it's Dario who's making the passes on the GT2 cars. Very shortly, though, that won't be the case. and we'll see a little bit of a seesaw battle back and forth as the time goes up and down with the traffic.
Best of the P1 cars is Dindo Capello for Audi Sport North America. His teammate Manuel Pirro is immediately behind in 4th overall, 2nd in class. Let's talk GT1 for a moment. And the 4 of Oliver Gavin, the pole-winning car, leads the way over the sister car of Jan Magnussen quite comfortably at the moment. Looking for its 3rd consecutive class victory. And there is the sister car in the background.
It's not that far back then, is it?
No, so a small margin at the moment for the Corvette boys.
You had Magnussen right there in the second of the cars.
Keep your door closed. Bill's behind you. John Bill's behind you.
And up front, traffic is really starting to play a hand in Dario Franchitti's lead. It's now down to 2.4 seconds. Timo Bernhard is coming.
We said how important it was not to make a mistake because we're going on to Houston straight from here. On the other hand, let me tell you, the other side of that coin is Acura wants this win over Porsche. And the boys have been told, don't let that happen. Porsche guys have been told that we need this win. Acura's been told that. Audi, of course, has never been beaten with the TDI diesel, and it's struggling here, no doubt about it.
CompuAir Corvette C6Rs continuing the research program, making sure that they are in top shelf form and state heading to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So that's GT1 taken care of for the moment. Let's talk GT2 because Darren Law is not letting Jamie Mello get away. And further back, the battle for 5th is on the 61 car, with Nick Johnson behind the wheel. He's sharing, incidentally. We welcome Anthony Lazzaro back to the series here in California. Through goes Dindo Capello. That's the lead P1 car. Scoots up the inside of Nick Johnson. This was the car that was trashed at St. Petersburg, and it wasn't only the Peterson White Lightning crew who had a lot of work to do, so too did the Risi team.
I'd say a lot of work to do. You're talking about completely building a car from scratch, every bit of it in 1 week's time, and then going halfway across the country to make it race.
Well, right behind is Tim Bergmeister, and we mentioned at the top of the show just how hard those guys had to work and the great expense incurred by the team. And team owner Mike Peterson, if there was ever a case of thanks mum, because his mum Mary certainly contributed as far as the dollar department. So a great family effort there from son Mike Peterson and mum Mary. Great work to have that car in the field, and they did not take the soft option. They could have easily skipped around, but it's very important for them to be a part of each and every round of this year's American Le Mans Series.
2 weeks ago, none of us ever would have believed that both these cars would be able to be assembled or reassembled and be here in time, but these teams just a huge, huge effort.
And we made mention a few moments ago of welcoming Anthony Lazzaro back to the series. Now let's hear from him. He's with Cal.
Great to see him back in pit lane, but more importantly, great to see you back in a race car, mate. Talk about this Ferrari has really dominated the last handful of races, the end of last year and the early season going here. What makes it so special, Anthony?
I think it's a lot of it's the groundwork that we laid with the 360 a few years ago. You know, with Risi, this team developed the 360 and now the 430. So the guys have done an awesome job developing the car like we have over the last few years, and now we're finally getting the dividends of it. But I'll tell you what, having the American Le Mans Series here at Long Beach is pretty special, and I got to say hello to all my friends back in Georgia. They're watching, Kai and my daughter Ansley. Thank you.
Difficult weekend to return, limited track time. Did you get the rust knocked off yesterday morning?
Hey, Calvin, you know me long enough. It didn't take very long at all. I've only had a few laps, but I've been up to speed. Been very happy with the way I've been doing, and what can I say? The car here is wonderful to drive. Michelin tires are doing an awesome job, and look at the crowd. I mean, like I say, it really is for the fans, and this is a great place to be.
Best of luck, mate.
Thank you.
And he still keeps his eye in, Dorsey, that's for sure. He does a lot of driving for team owner Giuseppe Risi in a variety of cars, that's for sure. Hey, I want to remind you that Lowe's Fantasy Racing on AmericanLeMans.com is off to a fun and competitive start. certainly if you're watching this, you're a sports car fan. Log on today and race against each other, other drivers and fans on the series' best road courses. You can win prizes and test your skills against the best. That is Lowe's Fantasy Racing on AmericanLeMans.com. There's your race leader, and he's finally got through that traffic and extended his lead margin. That's Dario Franchitti over Timo Bernard to 4 seconds. We'll be back. We've had Australia, we've had Malaysia. Now it is time for the Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix. It's live here on Speed tomorrow at 7 in the morning Eastern. And it continues to get ever more interesting. Felipe Massa on pole again, but young Brit Lewis Hamilton on the front row. Should be great. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern. Dario Franchitti continues to lead the Grand Prix of Long Beach in the XM Satellite Radio Acura. At the moment, Dorsey's untouchable.
He's got about a 1 front straightaway lead over Timo Bernhard in the Porsche, who just came around the hairpin as we saw Dario going into turn 1. Pretty amazing this early on, but again, remember the strategies when they come to the single pit stop they'll make. That's where it's going to really tell what the race is about. Oh, we've had a crash.
This is the 18 of Tom Milner.
Oh no, he hasn't hurt the car again, I hope, because this has been...
Step out, car on east base. Go to the east there.
Ray Hall Letterman team, you hear the communication. That's the words I heard. We're done.
You drive it? Will it come in?
Well, he's trying. Young Tom Milner is trying, but that car isn't going anywhere by the looks of that. We could be up for our first full course caution here.
This has been a bad start for Mr. Milner. He's just had nothing but accidents in this car.
Well, he's shown a good turn of speed. He's only a young guy. He's 21 years of age, and he hadn't raced a Porsche before until this year. And he and Ralph Kellners were on their way to a podium up until the final 9 minutes at St. Pete 2 weeks ago. And, yep, we've got our first full course yellow. Here it is. Let's have a look at what happened to Tom Milner in the Ray Hall Letterman Racing Porsche. Here we go, Dorsey.
Yeah, he's just comes in way too much speed, back in, slops around, and gets into the wall. These walls do not move. I know about that.
That comes back to one of our Lowe's storylines of the race. This place does not give you a second chance.
That was the exit of turn 9, the brake zone, and the entry into the complex 9, 10, 11. But he spun the car and contact with the wall, Lee. I mean, it just eats these cars. This place is no, it's not forgiving to spin a car out on a street circuit, period.
Right, well, we've only been going for just over 18 minutes, so this first full course yellow is not at a time conducive to pit stops and driver changes.
Complicates things all the more, doesn't it? No one's going to come in. I don't believe anybody that doesn't have a serious problem will do anything but follow this pace car right now.
And Dario Franchitti sees his lead margin evaporate. After a very good start, quick pace up front, and was getting away from the field. He now sees Timo Bernhard right in his mirrors. So the field will come together. They'll get a breather, and Tom Milner will need to be rescued, and a damage evaluation will be done back on pit road. The crowd for a Saturday here at Long Beach, you cannot believe it. It is nothing short of stunning. We've had extremely high winds here this week, but the weather conditions are nice at the moment.
Lee, I've been coming here a really long time. This is the best Saturday crowd I've ever seen. And of course, when I ran Trans Am, that was usually a Saturday show. But here's Milner. Tom's good. He's out of the car. I know he's disgusted about this incident, but he's okay.
So Ralph Kellners will be scratching his head back on pit road. A little frustrated. Here we go. We highlight the P2 current standings for you. We know that Dario Franchitti not only leading the class, but leading the race. And Johansson for Highcroft Racing sits in second ahead of Luis Diaz. More in a moment. Just like St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago, Long Beach, California, what a location to host a motor race. And they've been doing it now for 33 years. Weather conditions are good to go racing. It's not too hot, not too cold, and a good breeze to keep the guys cool. Well, while we're in that break, this man here, Luis Diaz for Lowe's Fernandez Racing. Calvin, what did he do?
Well, he did make a bit of a strategy call here by he and the team, of course, in terms of pitting before that 30-minute mark. We talk about how maximum a driver can do today is now 10. You back that around as 30 minutes for a driver minimum. So they brought him in early, essentially topped him up with fuel, fresh tires. Now, this means they're going to have to do another pit stop because, of course, they have to get Adrian Fernandez in. That opens up their strategy from this point on. They're going to have less fuel to put it in if they come in with the rest of the field during a caution, and they also have the opportunity, if it goes green, to maybe catch a yellow at some point. So just rolling the dice here a little bit. We expected that with someone who had worse track position than the leaders, of course.
All right, thanks for that, Callum. We'll keep an eye on the Lowe's Fernandez Racing number 15 to see how that strategy plays out. Now, if you're a regular of the American Le Mans Series TV shows, you'll know that we like to throw it round and find some new Cub reporters. We've already had Sasha Masson do some humorous reporting for us so far in 2007. Well, here at Long Beach, who's our new Cub reporter?
Hi, I'm Oliver Gavin. I'm your Cub reporter here on Speed, and we're going to go talk to some of the drivers. This could be the world famous Dyson Racing debriefs. Now, Andy, as we're in California, I thought I ought to ask you a bit of a Californian thing. Do you like surfing?
I know this is going somewhere and I can't tell where. I just fall off all the time. So.
Do you wax your board?
I wax a few things and the board isn't one of them.
Can you hold on a second?
Well, this is one of the questions I had for you, Alan. Now, seeing as you're a little bit, people ask me all the time about my height and how do I get into cars and all this.
How do you?
Well, that's a good question, but I was going to ask you, how do you reach the pedals?
I've got blocks in my feet. Have you not seen my boots?
I haven't seen the ones.
Ah, yeah, they're fantastic little blocks in the end of my feet. They're brilliant.
So you might have a system, something like my children have got, some sort of baby booster seat.
No, not at all. I don't have a booster seat. Yeah, we do. It's not actually too tricky with Dindo, but certainly with Emanuele and Frankie, my booster seat was about this thick and sort of pushed me right forward. But I get rid of that when I'm actually 21 years old.
Very good. Now, seeing as we're in California, I thought I'd better ask you the question about surfing. Do you have a board, and how big is it?
There's obviously some secondary line to this one because you wouldn't come up with that. I'm not sure if I have a board, and I'm not sure if I should tell you how big it is.
And do you wax?
I've never been known to wax, unlike some of my teammates who do certainly wax.
I would say Emanuele definitely needs to wax.
Yeah, there's no question about it. If not, he's going to get taken to San Diego Zoo in the gorilla enclosure. He's hairiest man I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, I'm astonished that he managed to get his race suit on him over all of that fur.
I'm not going to comment any further. I'm going to do a debrief with him later on.
Oh no, Dindo! Dindo, now I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you have a surfboard?
Surfboard? No, never done.
Have you ever been surfing?
Never.
If you did surf, would you wax?
Would you wax?
Wax, yes.
Why not?
Today we've learned that there are a number of drivers out there that like surfing. Some of them need to wax, some of them do wax. Some have got big boards, some have got small boards. But also, my friend here, Johnny, we've been meeting George Lucas.
Yeah, you know, that was definitely the highlight of the weekend. And as a Cub reporter, I can honestly say that the word Cub is appropriate.
So here I am, Oliver Gavin, your Cub reporter today at Long Beach. Thank you.
Good job. How about you, Dawes? Any surfing out there in Missouri?
No surfing for me.
Well, things are a little quiet here trackside at the moment because we are slowly working our way back to green. This is the reason why, if you've just joined us, we're under a full course caution. Tom Milner in the Ray Hall Letterman Porsche out of the race. We'll be back. Are you ready to turn your plain Jane cell phone into a souped up hot rod with custom wallpaper and ringtones? Well, to satisfy your need for speed, log on to speedtv.com for more. We're back at Long Beach, and the time is 30 minutes, 25 seconds into this race. And there's already activity on pit road. Cal?
There is. Timo Bernhard brings the number 7 machine in. And I just do not understand why the rest of the leaders did not pit, Brian.
Down at Highcroft, 7 Johansson has brought this Acura-powered machine is. Brabham will take over for him. Mechanics looking at the tires right now. It'll be interesting to find out if they're going to double stint. We'll know here. No, they will not. They're going to go with tires, fuel, and driver, guys.
Well, the 6 car is in also, so Penske bringing both of these guys in. We talked about the driver log time. They're not allowed to do more than 1 hour and 10, so they're right in that window. Sasha Mass and Ryan Briscoe going for 2 in a row here. The 7 car didn't take tires. Doesn't look like the 6 car is going to either. Brian?
Nice, and cars are in. It looks like they did take tires and fuel. It was interesting because they started the race on a different fuel strategy, but they came in together, they lead together.
So the cars up front that did not come in, race leader and P2 leader Dario Franchitti, and neither of the Audis in P1, Dindo Capello or Emanuele Pirro. We will see how that plays out. Here they are, the respective prototype class leaders, Franchitti in the XM Satellite Acura, the overall race leader. And to me, it looked like the lights were out on the safety car. It's green this time round. We're riding with Capello.
Dindo, Matt, Mick, and Mick 3.
And Capello dives for pit lane as the green flag flies. Back to racing.
I don't understand that call whatsoever. Now it's under green. He can actually go a lap down now.
1 Audi pits, 1 Audi stays out. Oh, and we've got a crash on track. David Brabham in the Highcroft Acura has spun.
I think he's not hit anything though, Lee. I think it's just a simple spin and he's got the engine going. He should be able to continue to look for damage. I don't think he hit anything.
So far so good, it looks all right.
And a big slide, big spin.
Big slide, big spin. Out of turn 7, heading into 8. Calvin.
Well, the Audi comes in, and I really don't understand this strategy call at all. This Audi will need tires. Remember, yesterday in qualifying, they really maxed out the driver time to give both guys a little bit more track time in qualifying. You have to start the race with at least 3 of the tires that you qualify on here. So right now, they're going to have to change tires as well. This costs extra time, of course, after the fuel. There's a minimal fuel load, so the driver changes take an X amount of time, and they're just waiting on tires. They should just stay on the lead lap as Alan McNish goes for his radio contact, trying to plug that in. Dindo didn't help him there. Little bit of a delay. He should stay on the lead lap, guys.
Oh, smokes it up out of the pit box. Here comes Franchitti. He's out of the hairpin on Shoreline Drive.
And Alan McNish on cold tires will not be fast. The car will not turn very well for the first lap. Watch here, because Franchitti is going to be coming. Here he is.
Keep in mind, these 2 cars have not pitted yet either. Dario Franchitti will hand over to Brian Herder. Emanuele Pirro will hand over to Marco Werner. And this is a good strong run from Pirro. He's not letting Franchitti get away.
No, he's not. I'm quite impressed by that. The question is, how far ahead is McNish, though? There he is up there.
And the other thing is, how will all this shake out up against those 2 Penske Porsches?
Well, I can understand trying, if you're a 2-car team, splitting the cars up, you know, pitting one but not the other. I certainly didn't understand the 1 car coming in so late like that and giving that all up.
Well, they were not sure on the timing there, Dorsey, whether they would make it. I just spoke to Brad Kettler. He said, I'm not sure Penske made the right call. And I said, well, it was 30 minutes and 10 seconds when they had done a driver change, so I think they're good to go. They were also concerned about a long brake pedal that Dindo Capello had, and they found out when they did the wheel change, there was a piece of debris over the brake cooling, so they should have fixed that issue, as Alan McNish now has a battle on his hands to try and keep that R10 diesel undefeated.
And of course, a long brake pedal, what that means is that the brakes are getting hot, or at least that one that was obstructed was getting hot. The fluid was about to boil or starting to boil, and that brake pedal goes down toward the floor, and that's a long brake pedal.
Look at this. There's McNish, is the first car you see in your shot, but he is trying desperately to stay on the lead lap as Dario Franchitti is hunting him down. But to be clear, this car has pitted. The 2nd car in shot, which is the overall race leader, has not yet pitted. Right here was where we saw car 9 spin. David Brabham after taking over from Stefan Johansson. This is what happened to Brabham. Let's take a look.
Oh, look up on top of the screen there. That's the cold tire spin, I think. I just came up there and the car just lost complete grip. Luckily, he did not anything. Watch the onboard here. Yeah, that's cold tires. You see it just snaps. Loses total grip both ends and around it goes. Lucky for David Brabham. No contact with anything.
First time at Long Beach for David Brabham. One of the guys who has driven at just about every circuit in the world, but never here as Frank Kitty continues to intensify the pressure. And Pirro looks for an inside line on Dario.
Look at Pirro. I mean, he's putting the heat on now big time. Trying to help his teammate not go a lap down.
Terry Borchella is in the 54 Team Transport Bell Racing's Porsche and stays out of the way of the prototypes. Nice work, Terry.
That's a section of the racetrack that you can't pass on without a guy like Terry being heads up and letting it happen.
Very strong opening performance from this Acura. The 26 is doing well, Brian.
Yeah, but Dario has his hands full right now. The team really talking to the officials about the number 2 blocking out there. They really felt like they were being held up. They said, look, guys, he's holding up but Dario for his team car back there. There's something you guys are going to have to do about this.
Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? I don't know that he's blocking or holding him up all that much. But if I was the team manager, I would certainly, I would put the heat on him like that. Sure, I would.
Look at this, look at this. The 2 Scotsmen, nose to tail. McNish fighting to stay on the lead lap.
P2 car, lighter, more agile, more nimble. These street circuits, it's what you need.
First time here for Alan McNish.
That Audi with all the torque of the diesel, you know, that isn't necessarily what you want on this type of a racetrack. This is a drag race zone with a brake zone at the end of it.
It was a mighty performance on the St. Petersburg street course 2 weeks ago from McNish. His teammate Dindo Capello goes into the record books as the most successful, the winningest, if you like, P1 driver in the history of the American Le Mans Series with 23 P1 victories now. McNish put in a blinding drive there, and the same is asked of him again here in California. To stay on the lead lap, and as Calvin just mentioned, to keep this diesel-powered R10 undefeated. Oh, Frank Kitty ever so close to McNish coming out of the turn 11 hairpin. Now the drag race on Shoreline Drive.
He's up in a good draft area right there. He should be able to get some good top speed for turn 1. Let's watch.
There's the top end difference. As I said at the beginning of the show, the R10 built for high speed, long circuits like Le Mans. That's the objective. So the team, the drivers know they have their hands full on these shorter, tighter street courses.
Lee, Barry Green still pleading his case down here. He watches the monitor, watches the timing monitor, and then goes to the officials. What he just said a minute ago was, look, we were able to run 14s earlier. Now we're in the 15s and 16s. You got to give us a break. Let him get out of the way. We want to go racing.
Well, you might want to give him a break, but that's a ridiculous thing to ask for because there's no blocking going on whatsoever. I mean, Dario might be quicker, but it's not enough quicker to make a pass happen, is it? I mean, there is Alan McNish doing his ever most to get around this racetrack as quickly as he can. There's no blocking, there's been no move, no counter move.
Good stuff, isn't it? Amongst the prototype classes. This is what the American Le Mans Series wanted. The P2 cars, the P1 cars going head to head. And this massive crowd at Long Beach enjoying some stellar sports car racing. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by the new face of Audi. They're young, powerful, and ready to play. Visit your local Audi dealer today to find one in your size. And by Victory, the new American motorcycle. Find your local dealer at victorymotorcycles.com. Back at Long Beach, and you have missed nothing. Alan McNish still defending from Dario Franchitti, trying to stay on the lead lap. just a car length between these two prototype cars. One on the left of your screen, a P1, the diesel-powered R10 Audi, and then the Acura, the XM Satellite Acura P2 prototype of Dario Franchitti. Brian Herta standing by to take over from the Scotsman. Great battle going on in GT2. Darren Law for the Flying Lizard team is defending from the car we're riding with here. Wolf Hensler, nothing in it. There's the Flying Lizard car up ahead, the red Porsche.
And the prototypes working their way through that battle. Wolf Hensler in the Tapple Racing Porsche. You look at the red one, Flying Lizard, that's Darren Law. That's a great battle. And these prototypes are just making it all the harder on the boys.
Darren Law teamed this weekend with Patrick Long, who was thrilled to be back with the Flying Lizard team. This is his third drive with that organisation. And in fact, out-qualified the sister car.
You know, Lee, right there in the hairpin when the cars are only doing 20 miles per hour, the GT2 cars are actually faster than the prototypes because there's no grip. They actually grip through and off that corner better. We've been looking all weekend. It's a very possible thing that a GT2 car could run into the back of a prototype there by mistake.
Cal?
Well, during that caution, we saw the lead Ferrari's pit, but the 44 car did, and Darren Law still behind the wheel. Pat Long, what's the strategy call there?
Well, Cal, we're going to split the strategy up between the 44 and the 45. I believe in my strategist, Eric, next to me, so we're going to see how this turns out. A lot depends on the yellows, but we think Jörg's good to the end, so we hope he keeps the gap he's got on the 62 car right now and come out on top either way with the Porsche Flying Lizard.
Okay, well, a lot of strategy going up and down pit lane here with this different length race. I'm not sure that's the right call. I think the Ferrari is still in the catbird seat, Lee.
At the moment, Jörg Bergmeister has a 13-second lead over Mika Salo. We'll continue to monitor that.
And you know, the downside of splitting up your cars if you're a GT2 car, bringing one in, is if the leader of the race should get between the two cars, which would be probable at that point, and the caution comes out, you could lose a lap on that second place car you've got out there.
And the question that needs to be answered is if indeed another caution flies. Well, one of the GT2 cars in this field that we are thrilled to have in the race that we thought we wouldn't is the Peterson White Lightning Ferrari. Brian has more.
Lee, Michael Peterson standing by with his crew watching the 31 car run. Michael, you know, a lot of people certainly impressed with what the crew did, but I think more people up and down this pit lane impressed with what you did to make sure that this car got here. Tell us a little bit about what it took on the part of you and your family to make sure that your team kept running.
Yeah, basically the guys had to pull a 3-day all-night shift to get this car here, and you know, my hat's off to them. I also have to thank my mother, Mary Peterson, because without her, none of this would be possible. You know, it's just unbelievable hard work, and right now we're not running probably as best as we'd like, but you know, we're just happy to be here. The guys just put in so much hard time and effort, and you know, I'm just excited that the car's running, and we still have a chance for hopefully a podium finish.
Well, an impressive performance by the team for sure, but by this man and his family to make sure that the team was here, guys.
Oh, Chris Dyson has run into trouble at the end of the back straight up into turn 9. No damage done. Engages reverse and then gets going again. Let's take a look at what happened.
Comes up in the brake zone, too deep, no doubt. It did. Oh, and he got into the wall with the left side a little bit. Locked up the brakes there, Lee. Got into it. It was very, very bumpy right there.
Just glanced the left-hand side of the car into the wall, but Chris gets going again. It was the sister car right behind him with Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel, who had a wonderful warm-up this morning as Alan McNish comes flying through on the inside. Oh. Look at this! Pirro on Dario Franchitti and gets him. That was for the overall lead of the race.
It was indeed. Going into turn 1, good setup right there. 3-car flare. Beautiful move by Pirro.
Do you know what? That had been coming for some time because Manueli was sizing him up several laps ago. Just looking, just fading to the inside, and finally he executed it. Let's take another look.
Coming off the bend in the front straight shoreline drive. A good run going right here.
But it's in the background. Look to the top of the screen.
Us. Yeah, that's right. There's McNish. There's the 3-car pop. You know, that negates all that your guy's holding my guy up theory. All of that doesn't.
Boy, I tell you what, that was close between David Brabham and Manueli Pirro too, wasn't it? So, McNish has remained on the lead lap, and we have had a change for the overall lead of this motor race.
And now they're all boxed up pretty good behind this GT2 battle. That'll get frustrating.
Dario Franchitti needs to get by Chris Dyson here. The drag race.
Wonderful job, man. Keep it up. Really, really good.
Wow, and we've had a change of lead in GT2 as well. Wolf Hensler has finally got by Darren Law.
And this is all the traffic. You're looking at both of the series. The P1 leader and the GT2 leaders are right there in the big snarl.
This race was tipped to be busy, frantic, hectic. Let's show you what happened. The pass for the lead in GT2. Here it is.
Riding Wolf Hensler. You see he's been sitting in this position the whole long trying to get by Darren Law. But watch as these prototypes are about to overtake them, I believe.
This is up Seaside Way.
Yep, here they come. Here come the lead boys overall.
Oh, and he says, thanks. Thanks for helping, Alan. I'll come through on the inside of Darren Law.
Yeah, he read that perfectly, didn't he? He saw it, he let it happen, and he got the lead.
And as you pointed out at the top of the show, Dorsey, that's one of the key overtaking points here on the streets of Long Beach, right here at the end of Seaside Way into turn 9. What can this man here do? From Scottsdale, Arizona, Darren Law, can he fight back on the German Wolf Hensler? Flying Lizards up against Taffel Racing. Two of the top Porsche teams in the American Le Mans Series. The two Porsche development teams, in fact, going head-to-head, the class of the field. And the PTG Team Panos car sits third with Scott Maxwell. Speed's coverage of round 3 of the American Le Mans Series. The Grand Prix of Long Beach continues. Lee Diffie, Dorsey Schrader with you here. Calvin Fish and Brian Till on pit road. 4 classes, the one time. That's what the ALMS is all about. And the color codes, they're red for P1, blue for P2, green for GT1, and yellow for GT2. And there has been some wonderful scraps in all 4 of the classes. Even the intra-team battle amongst the 2 Corvettes is raging strong at the moment. They are 7th and 8th overall at the moment. Ollie Gavin leads Jan Magnussen. That's how it stands with the 2 Corvette C6Rs. The lead of this motor race, though, is Italian Emanuele Pirro. And just 3 positions behind is the Mazda of Ben Devlin. This has been a testing and trying weekend for these guys. They've had some mechanical, they've had some electrical problems, but they were crossing their fingers for a good run in the race, and Brian, so far it's going good.
It is going well, and Ben Devlin doing a super job right now. You talk about electrical problems. Well, part of that electrical problem was with their traction control, so they disconnected that. He's running without it right now, and they're running well. He's turning times just every bit as fast as Romain Dumas and Sasha Maassen, so you got to give credit to this team. They're growing all the while. They took the first couple of races to develop the motor. They're finally getting able to develop the chassis, and it is paying off right now. Devlin running very, very strong.
We need to keep a close eye on the time, Dorsey, because we're approaching the 51-minute mark. So in 19 minutes, that's when we hit that cutoff period for teams, drivers who have not pitted yet. They must come in there. They cannot do any more than 1 hour and 10 minutes. They must pit and hand over to their co-driver.
Exactly right. If there's not any caution in that next time period you're talking about, all of the cars that have not pitted will be forced to have to pit, have to change the driver at that point in time too, and of course we'll lose this track position if it stays green.
An inspired performance for BK Motorsports in this new Mazda. Action on pit road, and the 3 is in. This is Jan Magnussen.
I look to think that this is just a scheduled deal. They're taking advantage now to make that stop, do their driver change. Johnny
O'Connell standing by. Calvin,
Well, there's fierce competition between the two yellow cars, of course. No competition right now, but they know when they get to Le Mans, there's going to be huge competition. There's talk of 14 to 16 GT1 cars over there, so they need to keep their game sharp, and that's what they're doing here right now. They brought O'Connell in. These guys in the championship points took a major hit in St. Pete by breaking that drive shaft, and now able to get the car back on track, so they're really a long way behind the 4 car in terms of team points, but it doesn't matter. Week in, week out, these boys go hard at it. Fuel is in. Corvette will typically go about an hour, so they're just shy of that with that yellow. And the Michelin tires typically will not double stint on the big GT1 machines. Let's go to Brian.
Problem for the number 22 Pano's entry. Scott Maxwell brought the car in, handed it over to Ross Smith. They're struggling with the right rear tire. Actually, the locking pins after the tire was put on did not pop back out, so they're having to work on this hub. Those locking pins, very, very important. When the wheel nut goes on, they pop out and make sure that that nut cannot come off. But right now, struggling with that right side.
Very valuable teammate, Scott Maxwell, to Ross Smith, who is on a very steep learning curve at the moment, so to have Maxwell in the car with him is a huge asset. Now, we're hearing reports that the 3 car had troubles. And let's talk more about Corvette Calvins with the 4.
Well, the 4 car is in, of course. This is where the pit crews can win this race. We're not sure if there's team orders or not. But right now, the 3 car had a flawless stop. I'm not sure if Johnny O had problems when he made his outlap. But right now, driver is being strapped in as pretty much a full fuel load here. 90 litres going into this Corvette. And then, of course, no other servicing can be done other than the driver change whilst refueling is going in. Fueling is done. Car's on its jacks. 4 Michelin tires. These boys are one of the best up and down pit lane. They rehearse it. It's like a ballet here as they try and get the tires on in about 10 to 12 seconds. Great stuff.
And the 4, Beretta and Gavin, going for their 3rd consecutive win. Now, the report was that Johnny O'Connell made contact with the wall on his outlap, and just that slight hiccup. Oh, talk about a slight hiccup. Is this?
This is in the hairpin.
Or is it McNish?
This is bad. In the hairpin, it's very hard.
Emanuele, stay cool, stay cool.
Wow, it's
stay
Emanuele Pirro, the race leader. Not anymore, though. And the instruction from the team, stay cool, stay cool.
Wow, now did he get helped around there? That's what my question is. I mean,
Car is broken.
Car is broken. He's got a rear suspension.
Okay, it looks like a flat right rear. Pit this time, please. Pit this lap.
Just when things were going.
It's more than that. I have no direction. Of course, I try to make it to the pit. Be ready. ASR is not working. ASR is not working. Switch to ASR 1. Emanuele, switch to ASR 1. ASR 1. You have a flat right rear.
Could be automatic speed control. I'm not sure what ASR.
That's traction control, Dorsey, on that Audi, and they need that, of course. They maybe try to use the pit lane speed limiter, and if one of the wheels is broken, that may mean that the team is seeing on telemetry he's not staying underneath that 60 kilometers.
That hands the lead back to Dario Franchitti. Let's take a look at what happened to Pirro, though. That car is not in good shape. Here's the replay.
No, unforced error. I don't think he got hit unless the Porsche there, the GT2. I talked about the fact that a GT2 car could hit a P1 car or P2 because they're quicker. Let's see if he does. Yes, he does. He does. He gets tagged. The Flying Lizard car definitely made contact.
That was Jörg Bergmeister.
It's deceiving, but the little cars, the street cars, are quicker at that hairpin.
Pirro, arm out of the cockpit just to notify his fellow competitors that he is not in racing mode. He is limping back to pit lane. Please take caution.
Oh, now we've got trouble. The carcass has just come apart on the right rear. Watch here. It could take the bodywork completely off the back now. And a spin for one of the Panos. That's the hairpin again. Trouble there.
Is it the 21 or the 22?
There's Pirro. Look, he's trying to get the pits. Almost gets run over.
And that was the Lowe's Fernandez Acura.
Now this long, slow pit lane.
Crazy scenes out here over the past couple of laps. Frantic activity, and that's what will be going on down at the Audi Sport North America pit as Emanuele Pirro limps back to his box.
Ah, there's the carcass. I said it was coming off. It's
been
off.
Shred.
That.
Wow, this is the view from the Lowe's Fernandez Acura. Take a look at this. Talk about a close call. Whoa, whoa. Cal.
As you can see, major damage to the right corner of the lead Audi car. Pirro here did a good job of getting it back with minimal damage, but I'm not sure if they're going to have to replace any of the undertray, that Venturi tunnel there effectively on the rear end of this car. These Audis are so strong and so durable. When you do a full lap here with a tire flailing like that, that will cause the damage. So the mechanics will have a look. That main piece of bodywork there behind the wheel looks like it is loose. Trouble on the track, Lee.
Yeah, trouble for the 8, Ben Devlin, and the BK Motorsports Mazda has...
Looks like he's on pit lane, just not running.
No, that's not pit road, Dorse, because there's a street car right behind him.
Man, you copy, you talk to me.
He must have pulled off then, Lee, up into a safe area. There's 3 or 4 around there.
That's a shame for Ben Devlin. The car was running strong. He had not pitted, so whilst he was running 4th on track, he still needed to pit and hand over to Jamie Bark.
Yeah, he's on pit lane. He is on pit lane. He's up at pit in.
They're on the way down there. They are on the way.
Oh, he's way up high. Okay, there it is. Brian.
I just checked in with the crew. They said we don't really know right now because we don't have communication. He can hear us, we think, but we cannot hear him.
It obviously has no power. There's cars all...
He's saying don't rush. Ben Devlin's saying, he's saying don't come near us, don't help. Cal.
Well, Werner's back underway, but it was a lengthy pit stop. Effectively, all they did was re-clip on that rear deck. The mechanics believe there's no suspension damage. There was a little bit of carbon fiber that had been disrupted there, so they have to be careful that doesn't get into that rear tire and cut it down again. But one of the IMSA officials was here making sure that this team took care of business. Pirro very frustrated, of course.
Oh, as you can imagine. Now, Dario Franchitti inherits the lead of the race, but I tell you who it's playing into as we take a look at another replay. Watch the last car in the line. It's Jörg Bergmeister. Bang. He has been very fast in that section of the track all weekend long as Bergmeister. He's raced on this circuit before, but he made up a little too much ground there, Dorse.
Yeah, and it caught him off. I've been saying that all weekend. It's just a matter of time before one of these GT cars runs over a P car in that hairpin.
Dario Franchitti may be leading this race, but he's running out of time. He must pit within the next 12 minutes and hand over to Brian Herter. And guess who's waiting to pounce? Romain Dumas. Then the Penske Porsche, they've already completed their swap and their driver change. It's looking good for Penske at the moment. And their cars are running 2 and 3. Reminding you to log on to AmericanLeMans.com for podcasting. Check it out. It features new content and coverage of the ALMS, including previews, track laps, race recaps, plenty more. That's podcasting on AmericanLeMans.com. We need to squeeze in a quick break. More from the streets of Long Beach when we come back. What is going to happen at Andretti Green Racing? Now this is the Mazda for BK Motorsports being helped down pit road by the team. Ben Devlin back aboard the car, and that's a real shame. They had experienced some engine mapping problems earlier today. There seemed to be an electrical problem, but more major dramas because the guy that Calvin's with was leading the race.
He was explaining to one of the crew members what happened there. Emanuele, you had the lead. What happened down in the hairpin?
One GT3, I think a Pinus, just hit me in the back. You know, the prototype cars are very slow around the hairpin, and he probably misjudged the speed, and it's no one to blame, but it's very unfortunate. We were really flying. The car was very good. We did some setup changing of qualifying, which didn't work at all. In the warm-up, the car was very good. We were very confident, and I was passing everybody. I was really, really, really happy, so I'm very sad.
Do you think the strategy would have worked out by keeping you out and not taking advantage of that caution there?
Well, this we have to see at the end of the race. All I can say is that we are out of win contention and that we were really, really fast. More than that, we have to wait, unfortunately.
They'll rebound. They'll be back at Houston, boys.
Tied with the sister car for the lead of the P1 Championship, but now the power swings to McNish and Capello. Time to get to Brian Till with a Michelin tyre tech tip.
You guys keep talking about different strategies on these teams. One of the strategies has to do with tires. We know that some of the teams have come in already. They've elected not to change tires, and that is because with these Michelins, you may find the teams actually double stinting them. They may try to run the entire race without changing tires. Now, there has been a precedent set on this before. The very first American Le Mans Series race in Miami, the winning Audi qualified, set the fastest race lap, and won the race on the same set of Michelin tires. So this race, it's the shortest in ALMS history. Why couldn't they do it here, guys?
And reports that Jörg Bergmeister in the 45 Flying Lizard Porsche will be penalized for hitting Emanuele Pirro.
And it's what we talked about at the beginning of the race. That penalty will now draw a stop and go, putting him probably a lap down, ending his chances of being able to win this race.
That is really going to hurt.
But I mean, it was a huge misjudgment, wasn't it? I mean, he really clouded old Manuel, sent him right around.
Okay, time is the talking point here for the XM Satellite Acura of Dario Franchitti. He has not pitted. He must by the 1 hour, 10-minute mark.
Gives him about 7 minutes to make up his mind when it's time.
He's got almost a 30-second lead over Romain Dumas in the Penske Porsche. We've got prototype 2 class cars in the top 5 positions. Look at this, Leitzinger and Fernandez going hard at it down Shoreline Drive, the front stretch.
And you don't go side by side through there very often. These guys did a great job, no touching.
Leitzinger with the preferred line. You ride aboard Adrian Fernandez, super experienced here throughout his days in Champ Car. Put the pressure on Dario Franchitti, saying that he has not pitted. Let's not forget either that in GT2, Wolf Hensler has not pitted, nor has Darren Law. So that puts the 3rd place car in GT2, Mika Salo, in a very strong position.
Saw Butch there checking his mirrors, making sure he didn't have to defend that corner. He went kind of the middle of the road just to make sure. But up ahead, there's traffic.
Just to revisit what happened earlier, remember that Luis Diaz was the first to come in and pit very early in the race. In fact, it was on lap 15, so some 30 laps ago.
Kind of hearing that the overall leader will probably pit on this lap. We'll watch that.
Here is Dario Franchitti. Does he dive to the right? Yes, he does. All right, this is putting enormous pressure on Andretti Green Racing. Time is of the essence here. And Brian Herter standing by, twice a podium finisher in Champ Car racing here at Long Beach. Both he and Dario boast that record. 2 seconds for Dario Franchitti, 2/3 for Brian Herter.
And they shared the podium, the two of them, in a 2nd and 3rd, so they've shared it before.
All right, here we go. Let's see what the Andretti Green boys can do.
Franchitti brings the car in on the marks. Brian Herta will take over. They're having a little problem removing the seat insert. That should not be that big of a deal. They will take tires right now. See the crew members standing by, getting ready with these 4 Michelin tires. Fueling right now is done. Tires are going on. You said it, Dorsey, early on, one of the keys to the race, no mistakes. They cannot make any errors. This pit stop needs to be flawless. They feel like perhaps they missed the strategy a little early on. I asked Michael Andretti, why didn't you come on the first yellow? He said, I don't know. I'm asking myself that question. I did notice part of the under tray a little loose behind the left front wheel.
Wow, Fernandez has got Leitzinger. This is good stuff. This is the fight for 4th in the race. I'll tell you what else is going to be interesting is Alan McNish up against where Brian Herta comes out. They may end up being very close on the track as well. There's some good individual battles happening out there at the moment.
Fernandez finally made that pass into turn 1. He had tried it before. Traffic kind of negated that, but that time was a clear, easy run.
Things are looking good for the Penske Porsches at the moment. Romain Dumas and Sasha Masson. This battle continues as we climb aboard with Dumas. two different winners from the first two rounds in the P2 class. It was the Andretti Green Acura that won at Sebring. It was Ryan Briscoe, Sasha Masson for Penske, who won at St. Pete. Can Dumas and Timo Bernhard go all the way and win here to make it three different from the three races thus far? Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by Chevy, an American revolution. Welcome back to the streets of Long Beach. So some teams rolled the dice in terms of strategy and were gambling on a second caution period coming out. Unfortunately for them, the clock has beaten them. Most notably that of Andretti Green Racing, and also in the GT2 class as well. Taffel Racing has to pit. Wolf Hensler must come in and hand over to Robin Liddell. And the car that they were fighting with, the second Flying Lizard Porsche, Darren Law, while we're in that break, has pitted. And there's the 44 and handed over to Patrick Long.
Well, it was a routine stop for these guys. As you said, Lee, they were getting very close to our 10-minute mark where they had to make a pit stop. So they rolled the dice, and I think that will ultimately cost them some positions in the race today. But what they did was they split the strategy, and it was working out extremely well with the 45 car, Jörg Bergmeister, running up front until he tagged the leader of the race. Not only did he have to come in and do a drive-through penalty for that incident, they also had to change a radiator just before that. So it's really taken them out of the reckoning as well.
Now Romain Dumas has a 15-second lead over his teammate Sasha Masson. At the moment, first and second, it's a yellow situation. Here's Hensler in. Robin Liddell standing by.
Okay, pull up on the board, pull up on the board.
I tell you what a day for not only for Penske, but for Risi Competizione. Salo and Lazzaro, the two red Ferrari 430s, are in commanding position in their class. Look how long this pit road is. Hensler's in.
Wolf Hensler climbing out of the Taffel Racing Porsche. Robin Liddell will get in. You see him working on the seat insert. These drivers not the same size, and Liddell had problems at St. Pete with the seating position of this new Porsche, really creating some cramping problems in his back. So those seat inserts, very, very important. Hensler helping him in the car. They'll obviously take a full load of fuel. They've stayed out as long as they can. Fuel, and the fueling was the problem in St. Pete. They had some type of debris in the fueling system, and that clogged the line. They were not able to get the fuel in. It took over 3 minutes. Not that problem this time. 4 new Michelin tires, and Liddell will head back on track. It'd be great if Taffel Racing could win today. Jim Taffel, team owner, and his dad James have a horse that is even odds to win at the Kentucky Derby. It'd be nice to see this horse win here today, guys.
Well, I tell you one thing, Brian, this is a very important pit stop to make, because had they not done this driver's change, the penalty is exclusion of the team and the drivers from the event.
And to follow up on that horse racing story with the Taffel's horse Street Sense, it finished second today in a 3-horse photo finish in the Bluegrass Stakes.
It's great stuff. A little problem with the stop, guys. Took a little longer than it probably should have. Looked like the car pretty close to the pit wall. They had a little bit of problem with those right side tires.
And the Ferraris are looking strong in GT2. What a way for Anthony Lazzaro to come back into the series. Driving with Nick Johnson in the second Risi 430. It's looking good. So too for the 21 Panos. It's up there in a very strong spot. But here is Mika Salo, who now leads GT2. He and Jamie Mello look unstoppable in this series this year.
Well, we said at the beginning of the show that it was all about the strategy, who did what. And of course, these guys gambled on a caution they never got. The early pit stop was the wise one.
Are you surprised there's only been one caution?
I am very surprised. But, you know, again, these guys looking ahead, looking like we said at the beginning of the show to next week. They have to be right down to Houston by Wednesday.
think a lot of people thought this was going to be a crash fest. Yellows everywhere, but it hasn't. If you've just joined us, only one full course caution. That happened on lap 14. Tom Milner Jr. crashed the Rahal Letterman Porsche heavily in turn 9. We're under caution for 14 minutes, but that's been it. We've been talking a lot about timing, and the LP Watch Group is the official timing of the American Le Mans Series. We've been keeping a watchful eye on that today, that's for sure. It's been a key talking point. Romain Dumas leads the way in his DHL Penske Porsche to the tune of 12 seconds over teammate Sasha Masson. Adrian Fernandez for Lowe's. Fernandez Racing sits third ahead of the first Dyson car. Butch Leitzinger is fourth. Prototype 2 cars fill the top 4 places overall. The best P1 car is Alan McNish, who sits 5th. Then it's Brian Herder, David Brabham, Chris Dyson, and Marco Werner. Olivier Beretta in the 4 Corvette is in the top 10 overall and leads the GT1 class. We ride with McNish. And the ruling from American Le Mans Series officials, everyone has done what they were supposed to do timing-wise. Green light on for everybody. Down to the pits, here's Brian.
Dario Franchitti brought his car in the lead. Dario, spectacular run for you. It was a great pole yesterday. The team really lobbying about one of the Audis, the number 1 of McNish, being in front of you and holding you up. How much was he holding you up?
He was holding me up quite a lot. He was definitely faster on the straight parts, but that was about it. Especially on cold tires, just holding me up a lot. I know McNish, he was trying to keep on the lead lap, but there was definitely some motivation for me seeing that little tartan band on the helmet. I was pushing hard. The biggest problem actually was the Highcroft car was really holding us up. But again, I think they were trying to stay on the lead lap, but I was being very careful in traffic because I knew how good the car was. I wasn't taking any risks, and yeah, the car was fabulous. I have to say, I was more worried about the start than anything today. I knew the Acura was quick, but I think looks like we've been caught out with strategy a wee bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, the car looks really good, but are you guys going to look back on this race and look at that first caution and go, woulda, shoulda?
I don't know what's going to happen, but it kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Well, he said early on, guys, well, you know what? I just drive. I come in when they tell me to. It's easier that way.
You know that Dario wanted to get by McNish just because to say, see, I got you there. Good friends, those guys.
So Brian Herder pushing on, punching on. Let's talk GT2 again for a moment. The 62 is poised in 2007 for 3 consecutive victories. Calvin, it's looking good for Risi again.
It really is, and I'm here with the man on the box, Giuseppe Risi. Giuseppe, you guys are on such a roll right now, and it's looking good. The car's not only leading, but you got the other car in second place. What are your feelings? Are you good on fuel?
I think we are, but there's still about another 16 laps to go. I'll let you know within the next 15, 20 minutes.
And the next race, of course, is your hometown in Houston. How important would the win there be?
Say one more time, I didn't get that.
The next race is in Houston, your hometown. How important would that win be?
Very important. I'd like to bring a win for us, hometown in Houston. Yeah.
All right, well, fingers crossed here. He's been around the game a long time. Lee's not counting his chickens just yet.
Yeah, he knows to just stay calm. And that's what his 4 drivers have done today. They have played it smart, that's for sure. Mika Salo, he's driven a Ferrari in Formula 1 to a podium result. He's about to drive a Ferrari 430 sports car to another win. Look at the flashing lights in the background. The Penskes occupy the top 2 positions as they come through the traffic. It has been a very smart performance from those guys. Reminding you that Lowe's Fantasy Racing on AmericanLeMans.com is the place to be. You can race against other drivers and fans of the series on the best road courses, win prizes and test your skills against the best. AmericanLeMans.com for Lowe's Fantasy Racing. Sasha Masson flashing his lights to notify he is coming through. He's trying to bridge a 9.9 second deficit to his teammate, Romain Dumas. Tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, live on Speed. It is Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. If you've watched the show before, you know the drill. It's opinion, it's tough questions, it's special guests. Dave gets the dirt on Wind Tunnel tomorrow night at 9 Eastern. And you can hear from Jacques Villeneuve tomorrow night. He will be the featured interview. The Grand Prix of Long Beach continues. We're in the final 20-odd minutes. And Dorsey, when we started the show, we spoke about strategy. The way it's worked out has been very interesting. I'll come back to you in a moment because Calvin has a special guest with him.
Indeed, Roger Penske. Looks like you made a great strategy call there by bringing both cars in under that caution. You got the driver log times, no problem there. Talk about the fact, though, you're on older Michelin tires. If you get a yellow now, any concern about the pace of the 26 car?
Well, I think that, remember, we put tires on there when we come in with a cut tire, which were fresh. Only one lap on them, so we're probably 10 or 15 laps better than the other people. But still, it looks like the 15 car is strong with Fernandez, so we'll see what happens.
This is a great battle we're seeing here this year between the Acura and the Porsches. Are you enjoying this?
Well, we're glad to see where we are. It's still a long race to go.
All right, mate, best of luck.
Thanks. I spoke with Tim Cindric yesterday, who's the president of Penske Racing, and I can tell you that he and Roger and the entire team were not pleased. They weren't proud of the way things went down at Sebring. They were very frustrated by that, and they want to make amends, and they're doing it in the most emphatic way, that's for sure.
Well, what Roger was saying right there is, yeah, I'm happy when I'm winning. However, the race isn't over yet, and of course, like you said, they struggled a little bit. We hear a story about this car, the 15, being slow on the front straight. It looks like, however, it's up to speed now.
And in that interview with Calvin, when Roger Penske said, well, we got the fresher tyres, we came in, remember when we had a deflating tyre, he was talking about the 6 of Sasha Masson and Ryan Briscoe, not the lead car of Romain Dumas and Timo Bernhard. This is the third place car. Adrian Fernandez and Luis Diaz, the co-team owner, in the cockpit right now.
Just spoke to Tom Anderson about what you saw on the racetrack. The car did, in fact, shut off. Adrian reset everything, and it seems to be fine right now, but these guys desperately trying to get here without any hiccups and get a strong podium finish. But right now, a lot of concerned faces with the Los Fernandez team.
Well, that little glitch has allowed Butch Leitzinger in the Dyson car, you see it right there, to catch up a lot of ground. So Leitzinger now in the hunt for the third place.
That margin has come down to 2.7 seconds, and Butch has really got a spring in his step. This team feels at this race meeting they've found something in this car. Got to remember, although Dyson is a legendary sports car team, when any team gets a new car, there's a learning process.
Absolutely, and it is their third race, so a lot yet to learn. But they found something after qualifying they thought that would make them competitive, and here you see Butch, he is competitive.
Chasing down Adrian Fernandez. Can he hang on? We'll monitor that margin for you as we're inside the final 20 minutes of this race. 18 to go. The shortest American Le Mans Series race. The series now in its 9th year. Typically, our shorter races are 2 hours, 45 minutes. So this truly is a sprint race.
And you can see not everyone was prepared. The strategy, you know, some teams went one way, some went the other. Certainly, it caught people out.
Minus 3.3.
Fernandez is fighting for its second podium in 3 races. It kicked off its campaign with a second at Sebring, finished 4th in class at St. Pete. Luis Diaz felt very hard done by there when he was penalised for contact with Chris Dyson. He thinks they should have won that race.
That radio transmission you just heard was Butch Leitzinger being informed that it's down to 3.3 seconds. Of course, Butch knows that because he can see now Adrian Fernandez up ahead.
Let's give you the overview. It's Dumas leading by 7.9 seconds over Masson, then Fernandez and Leitzinger. You know the battle there. 5th is the best P1 car of Alan McNish. Then 6th is Brian Herder. Brabham is in 7th. Dyson is in 8th. Marco Werner is the 2nd place P1 car in 9th. 10th is the best GT1 car of Olivier Beretta, and then Johnny O'Connell is 11th. Best GT2 car is 12th overall. It's Mika Salo. Then Clint Field is 3rd in P1 for Intersport. He's 13th overall. Then Lazaro and Long are 2nd and 3rd in GT2. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. We're working toward the finish of round 3 of the American Le Mans Series, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. You're on board with our race leader, Romain Dumas. Now, let's get to the epic forgotten fact. The first Grand Prix of Long Beach in 1975. The winning chassis was the same as 3 cars in today's field. What was it? Have a think, have a chat. You think you know, Dawes?
I know what it is.
All right, we'll get back to you later with that epic forgotten fact. Now, while things are looking good here for the 7, there is somewhat of a question mark over the driving time of Romain Dumas and exactly when Timo Bernard came in. And unless Romain finishes right on time, as far as in terms of the lap not having to go an extra lap, he may in fact be heavy on his driving time. He may exceed that 1 hour 10 limit by about 20 seconds.
If he crosses the checker line too soon, the whole team, this whole car driver lineup will be disqualified because he will have been in the car too long by seconds.
Nothing in it.
Well, that's a call, guys, that this team will have to try and figure out. If they are sure that will be the case, I'm sure what will happen is that Dumas would dive to pit lane, they'd lose the race, but they wouldn't lose points. So if they realize they're going to be over that mark, I'm sure the call will be made. You have to come down pit lane and get out of the car. So that's going to be a very tight call for these boys.
And we'll find out in the next 13 1/4 minutes. 9.5 seconds is the lead margin over the second Penske. Look at this, it's on in GT2. Patrick Long has just got by Anthony Lazaro. He is flying. He's moved up into second position in class now. There's a pretty decent gap, though, to the lead GT2 car of Mika Salo. Patrick Long has raced on this circuit before. He knows it. Salo hasn't. Is that an advantage to Pat?
Well, remember, Lee, Pat Long, that car stopped a lot later in the going. He's on much fresher tyres, so those 2 Ferraris pitted right at that 30-minute mark, so those guys are pushing it, even though they did change to new Michelin rubber. Certainly Pat Long has a fresher car underneath him, and he loves this racetrack after running here last year.
And he said he believes in his strategist. So, let's see in the next 12.5 minutes if that belief pays off.
Well, we know the Ferrari can double stint its tires, and there's no question about that. However, it can double stint the tires. They're going to drop off in speed some, particularly to the Porsche with the faster tires. We'll see how that plays out. Fresher tires, faster tires.
Let's have a look how Pat Long elevated himself to second place in GT2 for Flying Lizard.
Oh, he uses one of the prototypes to just switch over behind, makes that pass easily.
And behind these guys, Joey Hand in the Panos Esperante is doing a nice job.
Lee Dorsey, I was checking with Dave Sims earlier in the day about double stinting tires on that Risi Competizione Ferrari. He said double stinting them is not the problem. They were concerned with too many cautions because he said what we ran into in St. Pete was the tires were great, but when we stayed out under caution, those slow pace laps, we ended up with so much pickup, the car was undrivable. Right now, it's playing into their favor with just one caution out there. Tires should be okay, but if they get any more, a pickup could be an issue.
Well, Brian, the hood is coming up on the Anthony Lazaro Ferrari. It's completely loose on one side now. We'll have to take a look at this and see if it can stay pinned down on the other.
After such a strong run, the car was repaired after heavily crashed at St. Petersburg in Florida 2 weeks ago. Nick Johnson and Anthony Lazaro have done a stunning job. Let's hope they can hang on for the final 10 or so minutes. Hey, here's the answer to the epic forgotten fact. Remember, we asked you the winning chassis. What was it? We got 3 cars in today's field. It was Brian Redmond's Lola Chevrolet.
They call her Lola.
And there's a direct correlation to that Chevrolet engine that was used back then to the engine that's in the C6Rs here today. The countdown to the checkered flag is on at the Grand Prix of Long Beach, the American Le Mans Series. First time for the ALMS here at Long Beach. There's been some good scraps in all 4 of our classes. And look at this. We've got a Penske 1-2, but not necessarily is the fight, the strongest fight for the lead position. Brian Herter coming back on Alan McNish. This is for 5th overall. These 2 cars, whilst they're prototypes, are different classes. McNish, of course, in the P1. Herter is in the P2. But Herter would love to be in the top 5 overall, particularly after the car led for the majority of the race.
Well, it's been the quickest car, no question about that. The Audi struggle a bit, except I don't know, McNish's car's never been, but Pirro early on, I mean, he really had that car working.
There's been some good, strong performances. Some frustration, I would say, nonetheless, in the Andretti Green pit. Some question marks over the strategy there. They did not come in our one and only full course caution. And that has been what has stripped the lead away from the XM satellite car.
You said at the time we couldn't figure out why you would not have come in at that point. It was almost perfect timing to the second of when you needed to come in.
Hey, it's closing in at the front of this race too, Dorsey, as Herter continues to put the pressure on McNish. There's only 3 seconds between Dumas and Masson, the Penske Porsches, fighting it out at the top. Here we go, we ride with our leader. Traditional breakup of the onboard cameras on Seaside Way.
My question now, if Romain Dumas is not slowing up intentionally, trying to get himself out of the jam that he's been told he's in.
There's Sasha Masson, winner from our most recent round, and is in a pretty special club as far as the American Le Mans Series is concerned. He has won in every season, at least once in every season of the American Le Mans Series. He's one of the stalwart drivers, one of the cornerstone drivers of the ALMS. Was that a call from McNish saying, are we going to make this?
It's what it was from somebody. Was it Alan?
This is good stuff. McNish and Herter going at it. It's not the first time these 2 cars have been duking it out on the streets of Long Beach here today. Round 3 of the American Le Mans Series. At 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night, it is Epic Ride. Ordinary people team up with 2-wheel superstars for a ride of a lifetime. Don't miss Epic Ride, 9:30 Tuesday night. We are working our way towards the finish. How do you see things shaking out here, Cal?
Well, what I'm looking at right now is that the Audi #1 car, we talk about the diesel technology and the fuel efficiency. Of course, they have a smaller fuel cell at 81 litres compared with the rest of the field. We believe that Alan McNish may be a little bit shy. He may need to bring that Audi back to pit lane. So this is really rubbing salt in the wound. They're certainly not going to win this thing today, and they're going to have to make another pit stop, it's looking like. But we keep talking about that Andretti Green decision not to pit, but if we're concerned about Dumas struggling by being over time, certainly the 26 car would have been in worse trouble. Remember, they had the lead, so if they pitted on that lap, they would have been in worse shape getting out of the pit lane a little bit sooner with a flawless pit stop. So that may have been the call by the Andretti boys. They were just a bit too tight to bring him in. Meanwhile, Alan McNish is making that long trek down pit lane. He's going to need a few litres of that diesel power to get him to the checkered flag this afternoon.
And where does this put him in relation to the sister car?
Expecting no tyres, of course, with just a handful of laps left. Time stop there, he stalls it. Sticky tyres, remember, normally when these guys have done a driver change and pulling out, they got cold rubber. That was sticky rubber as Alan tried to get some wheel spin out of his pit box.
Oh, that's very costly, no doubt, for that car. Sister car, we'll see. Answers the question, could they make it? And we didn't think they could. They couldn't.
Final 5 minutes. And what has been a unique race in the American Le Mans Series. And take a look at this. There's the race leader, Romain Dumas, top right of your screen. McNish has come out in between these two guys. Sasha Masson running second overall, second in P2. We're headed towards our third different winner in the P2 class. It was the Andretti Green boys who won at Sebring. The 6 Penske Porsche of Ryan Briscoe, Sasha Masson, who won 2 weekends ago in St. Pete. And now it's time for Timo Bernard and Romain Dumas. Only the third time in ALMS history that a P2 car will win overall. Dyson did it back in 03. Penske did it last year at Mid-Ohio, and they're set to do it again. But I guess the bigger note there is we're looking at the first time the Audi R10 will be defeated.
And you can see the R10 is vastly superior in the straightaway. A lot more top-end speed to see it here, but it does not have the braking or the agility. Look, they just let that go.
And McNish says, hey, I'm not fighting you for the win, but just take this pass anyway.
I don't want to be a lap down. Put me on the lead lap.
Three and a half minutes to go. Incidentally, Adrian Fernandez has sustained that pressure from Butch Leitzinger. He's only got 1.3 seconds over Butch, but he is still hanging on to third overall and third in class. Here are the Corvette boys.
GT1 right together now. Closest they've been all day.
Johnny O'Connell putting the pressure on Olivier Beretta, trying to stop that three-peat from the number 4 car.
Makes a lot of ground right there through the fountain corner.
Can Johnny O do anything about Olivier? These boys are allowed to race, but it's the standard rule with intra-team competition. Do not touch, do not take each other out. And Johnny O'Connell's got 2 minutes, 40 seconds left to mount a challenge on the sister car.
Yeah, with no other competition, the orders are race each other and race each other hard, because it's the only way this team will learn from this experience.
There's the Highcroft Acura, David Brabham behind the wheel. He's currently 6th overall and 6th in class. Now Dumas has slowed at the front end of this field considerably.
And you know why he's done that? He let McNish go. You saw that easily. He's trying to time out the end of this race so he doesn't get caught in the car driving too long.
It's a splash and go for Brian Herter as well. Brian?
It's exactly what it is, Lee. Remember, when they came in, they had stayed out longer than anybody else, so they just did a timed fuel stop. The problem, they must not have gotten enough in. Now, Martin, little problem getting it refired, but he's back underway. Another costly mistake.
Well, wouldn't it be something if the leader, who looks like they've driven the perfect race, is not going to be the winner if he goes too long?
Well, we got 1 minute 21 seconds to go, and that is pretty much a lap around the Long Beach circuit.
Might be a slow lap, this one, I'm thinking. Yeah, look at this. He's not going to make any move.
Well, there's a lot of conversation going on between Tim Cindric, who's sitting above the pit box for the number 7 machine, and Roger Penske, who sits high above the pit box for the number 6 machine. I have to assume that Tim Cindric was making Roger aware of the situation with the driver log and maybe trying to get both the Penske cars to slow down and try and orchestrate this finish so they hit the stripe at the right time, boys.
They have done just that, Calvin. Both of them right there behind the GT2 Ferrari just sat it out, went through.
Now, Roman, just go as fast as you can.
It sounds like it's timed out. You heard right there.
That was
Roman,
Tim Cindric.
Go ahead, go fast as you can. You're in the clear.
Yeah, he doesn't want to drag this on any longer than it needs to be. One more lap next time by. to bring up the second time the Penskes have won overall. Final lap coming up here on the streets of Long Beach. One more to go for the Frenchman. Clouds rolling in here too, Doss.
That's the first
getting
time,
quite dark.
It's the first time in road racing I've seen it turn into a bracket race where you could break out at the end.
So they're on their way home.
It's going to be closely on the
It
timing.
will be. Oh, this is the Fernandez car. What's the deal here with the Lowe's Fernandez Acura? That takes Adrian out of a podium.
Oh, it's not running. I don't think it's got any firepower.
Well, remember these guys came in very early. And dramas for the Lowe's Fernandez car.
Wonder if they got fuel in it.
Leitzinger is now in third. Brabham is in fourth. Chris Dyson is in fifth with these last pit stops. Final two turns for Romain Dumas. He and Timo Bernard are poised for their first victory in the 07 season. Cal?
Well, on the 15 machine, it is fuel. Unbelievably, Fernandez may be out of gas, boys.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. But it's celebration for the DHL Penskes. Romain Dumas and Timo Bernard take the win at Long Beach and defeat the Audi R10s. A P2 car wins overall for only the third time in American Le Mans Series history. Dumas and Bernard do it in California over the sister car of Sasha Masson and Ryan Briscoe. And Butch Leitzinger and Andy Wallace set to take a podium as well. The Corvettes are bringing it home, and it will be 1, 2, 3 for the Ollies. Olivier Beretta and Oliver Gavin will get their third win in succession.
Roger that.
Line
Keep going to the checker. Keep digging to the checker. Good job, buddy. Good job.
Compuware Corvettes come over in a form finish. Well, it was a discussion point at St. Petersburg about can the P2 cars dominate. They did not at St. Pete. They have here at Long Beach. This is McNish coming across the line. The best P1 car in 7th position overall. And Mika Salo gets the hat trick as well in GT2. He and Jamie Mello do it again for Risi Ferrari. We are back at Long Beach, and this third round of the 2007 American Le Mans Series may have been the shortest race in the history of the series, but it has certainly been a memorable one. And we do need to remind you that the official results are pending. They are provisional at the moment. There's a doubt over the driving time for several teams, not just the overall winners, Romain Dumas and Timo Bernard. So we are still waiting for a decision there. But what we do know is that in the Prototype 1 class, the Audi R10 of Dindo Capello, Alan McNish get yet another victory over their teammates. And the Intersport boys in third. Here's Calvin.
Well, Audi's unbeaten run with the R10 TDI comes to an end. Alan McNish, you still win class, but talk about the perspective of today.
Well, I think we saw yesterday in qualifying being 8.8 tenths off pole position. It suggested it was going to be hard work. Weather conditions clouded up, didn't help us. And to be honest, we didn't have the car to sort of do it around the streets of Long Beach. I think it was just a bit too tight and too twisty for us.
Good fight today, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not the usual jovial Alan McNish there. It was a hard fight. The results for GT1 and the number 4 reigns supreme yet again. Brian standing by with the boys.
Well, the Ollies celebrate a hat trick, 3 in a row for you guys, and you're racing your teammates hard out there, Ollie. I know you guys had fun out there, but would you have more fun on the racetrack today or being a Cub reporter?
Well, that's a difficult one. I was going to ask you about your, do you have a board, surfboard? Do you? Do you wax? I just wanted to know. But you're not going to tell me, are you? Anyway, I had a good time in the race today, but Brian's not going to answer any of my questions. So over to Brian.
3 in a row for these guys, always celebrating, always fun down at Corvette, guys.
Even after the heat of battle. Ollie Gavin still wanting to joke. Well, they've got a good position in terms of the GT1 Championship results. Still pending. We'll have more when we come back. It's a busy period for the American Le Mans Series at the moment here on the streets of Long Beach today, next weekend in Houston. So the teams, drivers, everybody involved are extremely busy at the moment. And busy is a word you could use for GT2 today. A hat trick of wins for Mello and Salo in that Ferrari, and personal best performances for the second and third place teams. Brian?
Mika Salo, Jamie Mello congratulating each other. Mika, you're in the car at the end, and it looked almost easy out there. The car didn't have a mark on it, but I know competition in the American Le Mans Series never easy.
No, our car was really good. Jamie did a good job at the beginning and gave me a car at the lead, and we pitted early, and we knew we can go in the end if I save fuel, and I was really on the limit. I don't think we have any left in the tank, so it was close. I had to really save fuel a lot in the end.
Congratulations, 3 in a row for Mello and Salo.
Yeah, but strong performances from Flying Lizard, from the second Reese car. Robin Liddell and Wolf Hensler did well, and also Team Panos PTG, they got in the top 5 as well. We're still waiting confirmation on the overall winner. Hopefully we'll have it when we come back. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection. And by Michelin, a better way forward. It's been a big day for the American Le Mans Series at the Grand Prix of Long Beach, the ALMS first appearance here on these famous streets. Well, after much deliberation, we're pleased to say we can now deliver the P2 class results and the overall results. And yes, it is a Penske Porsche 1-2. Timo Bernhard and Romar Dumas becoming the third different winners in as many races in this class. And the best performance for the Dyson Porsche, and yes, it is Porsche 1, 2, 3. How about that? Well, Dorsey, let's get down to the issue at hand. What was the problem?
Well, there was a ruling in the supplemental regulations that say a driver cannot compete in the car for more than an hour and 10 minutes. Now, at the end of the race, there were several drivers that were very, very close on that time limit. So close, in fact, that they couldn't ascertain for sure if they'd gone over that amount. There is a backup timing system in place here, and what they had to do then is revert to the backup system and go through the minute by minute, get it right down to the checkered flag, and at the end, it was ascertained that no one broke the ruling, and so it stands as it was.
Very thorough work from the IMSA officials, and Calvin Fish is with 2 very relieved guys.
Well, Lee, we can finally confirm, of course, that Timo Bernhard and Romar Dumas are the winners here today at Long Beach. And Romar, talk about that. I mean, you've been sitting here waiting to get the confirmation. How much frustration is there in that result?
Well, I don't know. I was a first surprise about something about the time, but I was completely sure about my team and the strategies that we adapt. So for me, it was no question. So we won the race, and that's the most important.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, relief is one word you could use there. Those boys performed well, and Penske played the strategy nicely as well. Dors, final thoughts from the streets of Long Beach?
Well, I think everyone did exactly what they needed to do. We didn't wad up any cars today. No big wrecks during this race. That's a great thing to see. But I bet you the next time we have a timed event where a driver can only stay in for a certain amount of time, they won't cut it that close ever again.
Yeah, if we go back to the Lowe's storylines at the top of the show about being the essence of survival and playing it smart, we only saw one full course caution, and that was a surprise, and that was due to an accident with one of the GT2 Porsches and Tom Milner, and that had its impact on the race as well, but pretty interesting stuff. All right, it's a busy time with the ALMS. Next weekend in Houston, it's the Lone Star Grand Prix. Our friends at CBS Sports take over the coverage there, and that will be busy in downtown Houston. Speed Channel will be back with you at the Grand Prix of Mosport, and that comes your way right here on Speed, Sunday, August 26. Well, what a day. A memorable one, that's for sure. And the American Le Mans Series adds yet another street course to the 9-year history of this series. And for a variety of reasons, it has been a memorable one. On behalf of Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, Calvin Fish, I'm Lee Diffie. Thanks for being with us here in California.